All right, here we go. Welcome to Besties' first live call, first of two, maybe three. We'll kind of see where the energy ebbs and flows and what we need. My name's Catherine. We may have met in a Facebook group. You may have been following me on Instagram for a while. You may have come over to my house for a Sacred Sunday Circle. Actually, I would be interested. Type in the chat, where are you coming from? Coming from Ladies of Los Angeles group, Spiritual Sisters of Los Angeles group, Instagram. Have you been over for a Sacred Sunday Circle? Are you a client already? No, some of you are. So my vision, Brianna. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, Sacred Sunday Circle, spiritual group. Yeah, awesome. Oh, IG and ICM, Nikki. Oh my gosh. Nikki, are you a re-enroll in ICM this year? Or are you in my mentor group, perhaps? Okay, so if you don't know who I am, my name is Catherine, or Kat. My vision for the world, my mission, my dharma is to help people heal, to create a world of healing, world of authenticity, a world of love. And I do that in a lot of different ways. I work one-to-one with clients. I run group programs like this. I have a podcast where I coach clients directly and help them heal. I have memberships. I'm creating a spiritual church here soon. More babes coming in. There we go. I'm a Virgo, I'm a manifester, and I got a lot of water in my chart. So I like going within, I like going into the inner realms, and I do it with precision. We do it with focus. Cancer moon, Pisces rising. We got a lot of that deep, watery energy, and the Virgo comes in to make it precise. So in this call, well, all of you are here because you want to build friendships. Yeah. All of you are here because you want to build community, you want to create friendships. You know, I hear so many people in my world saying that they want friends, especially spiritual friends. I want spiritual friends. I want spiritual community. And then it doesn't really ever move on from there. It's like I see them 6 months later, or they come to another Sacred Sunday Circle, or like I see them posting in a Facebook group or something, and they're still looking for friends, they're still looking for community. So that got me thinking, like, what are the blocks here? You know, there's so many coaches who teach on relationships and dating and business and just about everything. I've never seen one single coach teach on friendships, how to create and sustain friendships, right? Because there's so many nuances to this. It's not just about creating the friendships, creating the connection, but it's also about how do we now take this like to the next level. I mean, it's very similar to dating. It's very similar to dating. There's a finesse to it. There's an art, there's a strategy, there's energetics, there's mindset. And again, I don't see anyone talking about this. And statistically, people who have community, people who have friendships live longer. They're happier, they're more successful, they're more fulfilled. We are meant to be in community, and we are meant to have friendships. So if this is making you feel something, drop an emoji in the chat, or put a little heart in your reactions, little reactions button. This is so close to my heart. This is something that I feel so passionate about. I have had a best friend for over 16 years. And this didn't happen by accident. We didn't grow together by accident. And community isn't built by accident either. So this call is going to be focusing on the inner work that we need to get clear with before we talk about the strategy and the mindset. I'm always inner first, then outer. Inner, then outer. So what I've noticed in my coaching and in my own personal healing journey is that there are 3 core wounds: feeling unsafe, feeling unworthy, and feeling like you don't belong. Which one do you think gets the most in the way when it comes to building friendships and relationships? Type it in the chat. Which one do you think creates the most blocks when it comes to creating friendships? Feeling unsafe, feeling unworthy, feeling like you don't belong. Yeah, it's belonging. Unworthiness is close to it, but you can feel like you belong and still feel unworthy. They are different. They're like concentric circles. And of course, we want to heal all of them. We want to do work with all of them. But the one that gets people most tripped up when it comes to creating friendships and community is feeling like something's just like they're an outsider. Like people just don't understand them. Like they don't belong, taking things personally, when someone cancels or someone changes plans or someone doesn't text back or someone whatever when you're not included in something. And most of the time this stems from middle school in my personal experience. Middle school can be a little wild for most people. Let me know in the chat, was middle school like low-key traumatic for you? Like everyone talks about the inner child. No one talks about the inner middle schooler. Sarah says yes. It's like middle school is where it was a weird time. Middle school is like where we start getting into those cliques and where those dynamics of I'm better than you, you're in this clique, now you're not in this clique, or you belong here, now you don't belong here, or like we're friends with you, but now we're going to talk behind your back, whatever that is, bullying. No, and again, I don't hear anyone ever talk about an inner middle schoolers, and I'm like, that's where so much comes into play when it comes to our experience of community and friendships. Felt earlier like kindergarten. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's valid. Neurodivergency. Yeah, you probably can. Yeah, stop being normal. Middle school is the best for me. Okay. So Brianna, maybe you would then be working with your high schooler, or really at any point. At any point along the spectrum, it doesn't have to be in middle school, but what we're going to be working together. Hi, Cassandra. What we're going to be working on together is an inner part. It might be the inner middle schooler. It sounds like for a lot of you, it might be an inner child, inner kindergartner, might be an inner college age student. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which one it is. So let's drop in with a little meditation. Just get the energy centered. And then we'll go into our spiritual gym, as I call it. That's also the name of my podcast, the spiritual gym. And with the last 30 minutes or so, I'll open up Q&A and individual coaching if anyone would like specific support. So I won't be answering a lot of questions in the chat as we're going, but save them for the end and I'll make sure we have time for that. All right, so let's drop in together, adjusting in your seat, getting a little more comfortable, relaxing the physical body. And taking a deep breath here. The beginning of dropping in of meditation is usually the hardest. It's usually where the most resistance lies. So as you're dropping into the physical body, holding space for yourself, allowing yourself to adjust for a moment. And noticing, what is it like within your mind right now? What is it like within the body right now? And taking these next few moments to breathe. Meditation is less of a doing and more of a being. As simple as sitting here and breathing. And in your mind's eye, seeing a little ball of golden light. And as you breathe, this light grows larger and larger, covering the entire inner vision of the mind. And in this white light, we call upon our Holy Spirit guides, our holy guardian angels, our light beings, to please remove any negative, non-beneficial energy from us. Please remove any negative, non-beneficial energy from our space. We invite in love, peace, harmony. We ask you to clear any distortions of reality, any limiting stories that we may be playing in our minds about whether or not we belong, about what's possible for us in friendship, in community. Making friends is hard. No one gets me. The spiritual path is supposed to be lonely. Inwardly signaling to the universe that you are willing to see things differently. You are willing to see what's possible for you beyond limitations, blocks, beyond past trauma, beyond fears of being misunderstood, beyond fears of being disliked. Maybe you see this pure white light extending upwards into the sky. Maybe you see it washing down your physical body and into the earth. And I invite you to imagine that this pure white light is a magnet for any and all of the friendships, the connections, the community that you are soul aligned for. That as you sit here in this space, surrounded with this white light, you are magnetizing these people, these opportunities, these experiences, this love to you. Taste testing with your energy. What would it feel like to meet a new friend who just gets you? Or you laugh at the same things. You like talking about the same things. It feels good to be around them. They want to hang out with you. They see your uniqueness. And breathing this into your heart space, softening into this reality that you're calling forward with your intention. What are you willing to do to create the relationships that you deeply desire? To be an energetic match for this vision of deep, epic friendship, community that you love, community who loves you. You don't have to get specific, but feel it in your body. I'm willing to show up in these 3 weeks together. I'm willing to participate. I'm willing to try. And we'll close this with one deep breath together, meeting at the base of the spine, the bottom of the breath. And breathing the energy up all the way through your spine, through your energy centers, like you're sipping up energy through a straw, all the way to the top of your head, to the crown, holding at the top. And on the exhale, sending this love, this presence, this energy before you into this call, into your week, into this month, blessing your thoughts, emotions, interactions, conversations, blessing the friends who you will meet on this journey, maybe some that are here in this group, maybe some who you have yet to meet, maybe some who you'll meet 6 months from now, a year from now, blessing them. And I'm so grateful for this connection. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to come together in the name of love, in the name of authenticity, in the name of community. I'm so grateful to be here showing you what's possible in your relationships, in your life. And may this time together unfold for the highest good of all concerned, as it always does. So it is. Amen. All right. How are we feeling? Good. It's good to always take a look around your environment when you come back from a meditation, to look at the people in this call together. Helps to inform the nervous system that you are safe. You can drop in even deeper. So for this process, you'll need something to write on and something to write with. You may or may not, if you're a crier, you may or may not want some tissues. You may or may not want something to drink next to you. So, oh, here Kyrie comes. Yay. Just in time. Okay. So to get this started, and actually before that, just dropped in that I want to create some safety in this group. That what you share in the chat stays in the chat. It's okay to have an emotional experience. All of us are here because we want to heal and grow in some way. And we're all just humans, and it's okay to have human experiences. So I would love for you to, throughout this process, be sharing in the chat your experience. Maybe if you see someone who is having an emotional experience, maybe you send them a personal message in the chat and you say, hey, I see you. Thank you for your openness. Thank you for your vulnerability. Already starting to create connections. Yeah, hi Kyrie. So glad you came in. You came in at just the perfect time. We just finished the meditation, so very good. Okay, so for this first part, option to share in the chat, or if you'd like to write in your journal solo. When is a time that you remember feeling like you didn't belong? Like you didn't fit in, like you were a misfit, maybe like using the middle school example, like you thought people were your friends and then they said you can't sit with us. And feel free to just free form write for a couple minutes, see what comes up. We always start with exploration. You always start exploring what's here. And honestly, it could have been recent too. It doesn't have to be something from a long time ago. Could have been last weekend when you went to an event and you felt super awkward. Yeah, you can type in the chat. You can type in the chat for this if you have something to share. Yeah, when you became a mom. And when you have this memory, and this might be a memory, this might be just an inner part who feels like they don't belong, who feels like they're misunderstood, like they're weird. There's so many entry points into transformation. So many different pathways and methods. And some people don't have clear recollection of their childhood memories to begin with. So you might have a specific memory. It might feel more nebulous, like a time in your life. It might feel just like an inner part, an inner aspect. When you find who this is for you, or when you find that memory that you'd like to work with and really bring love and transformation to, the next step in the process after explore is express. First we explore, then we express. So I want you to write from the first person. You're in this memory. I'm going to give you an example because this is a very key part here. You're in this memory. I'm going to use a memory from my childhood, and it was the classic sitting alone at lunch. Just moved to a new school, didn't feel like I fit in, didn't have any friends, no one was making an effort. So if I was expressing from this part, I would say, I feel really alone. I feel different. I feel weird. I feel embarrassed. I wish people could see how much fun I am. I wish people could see me. I feel sad. I want to fit in. If there's if there is an emotional experience that comes up for you, go into it, ride it like a wave. This is where the healing begins to happen. And you may want to ask this part of you what he or she or they believe about friendships, about community. This is where we find our limiting beliefs. No one will like me. People think I'm annoying. I I'll always be alone. I'm scared of rejection. And I'd be interested to know, what are some of these limiting beliefs? What are some of these thoughts that this part is carrying? This helps to normalize. When we share in a community like this, it helps to normalize these things. That's for other people, but not for me. Yeah. I bet a lot of people can relate to that here. Of like, yeah, that's great, but it's not for me. People can't show up for me. People won't show up for me. There's something wrong with me. I'm never chosen. Yeah. People don't get me. Thinking of my own here. Here's one I just found for myself. There's not enough people who would get me. There's just not enough people. Live in Los Angeles, it's over 5 million people here, but there's just not enough people who would get me. I'm not important enough. Yeah. Being on this side of the conversation, and I've been doing this work for over 2 years now, for about 2.5 years. I used to be a nurse, transitioned into healing in a different way, in coaching. Being on this side of the conversation, you would be amazed how many people are out here feeling like they're not good enough. Even people who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, that got the businesses, that got the everything, how many people are feeling like they don't belong, like they're not good enough, like they're misunderstood, like something's wrong with them. Sometimes I would have calls with these people and then go and look at their Instagram and think like, wow, if their audience only knew the humanity and the vulnerability of what was actually behind this offer, what was actually behind these posts. People want vulnerability. People want authenticity. It's like an opening for connection. So if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner of some kind, push your edges to show a little bit more of your own challenges and your struggles. We don't have to share like the open gaping wound, but share the scratches, share the scars. Like, this has been really hard for me, or I'm pushing my edge with this. Even sharing, I'm making new friends. I'm in my 30s and I'm making new friends, and this is challenging for me. People want to relate to your authenticity and your humanity, and this is a lot of what we're getting into in the next call on Sunday. Yeah, I have to shrink down, take up less space. People will get tired of me. Yeah, easily replaceable, not wanted, not needed, not important enough. Scared to be seen as weird, scared to be judged. My friends growing up would poke fun at me a lot for being meticulous, organized, particular, realizing how much I was the brunt of the joke. Yeah. Mm. So can you see, like, these things are not unique, and shame thrives in isolation. That is one of the reasons that I'm not just doing this as a training. I could easily, and it would have been easier for me to just turn on my camera and just make this into a training that you could watch whenever you wanted. But there's a reason that we're doing this live together in community so that you can see that you are not alone, that these thoughts and blocks and feelings are not unique. And this is a microcosm of the macrocosm of the world. Truly. I think I've met one person, and he is my partner, who does not have trauma around belonging and feeling like he's not good enough, or safety. Actually, he's incredibly untouched by life somehow. Everyone else I've ever met, the 99% of everyone else falls into everything that we're talking about. Yeah. Shame thrives in isolation. Okay. So the process I'm taking you through, not the process, but the framework, if you're familiar with my work, then you know this framework, is explore, express, embrace, embody. We have explored, we have expressed, now we embrace. This is really where the deep healing comes in. All healing is, I don't care what kind of healing you're doing. I don't care if it's somatic or emotional or mindset or nervous system or behavior, blah, blah, blah. At the foundation, at the core, all healing is meeting love. Rewind. Is meeting fear with love. All healing is meeting fear with love. You could say meeting the dark with the light. Same thing. So let's take a stretch. We've been feeling some things. Move the energy a little bit. Yes, we are going to go through an example right now. iPhone, whose name I don't know because it just says iPhone, but we will do that. Ooh, some hip pops. You know, there's not a lot that's more satisfying when you get a good hip hop in there. Okay. I'm gonna have you close your eyes again, at least to start. If you are someone who connects more deeply through writing, then feel free to write. I am one of those people. I like connecting through writing. But we'll all start with eyes closed. And I want you to think of a memory. This could be an animal friend. This could be a place in nature, perhaps. Someone or somewhere that makes you feel like you belong. And feel free to write about this if you'd like to, or just dwell here. And if it's not someone or somewhere, if it's a thing, that's perfect. It doesn't matter what the entry point is. Anything that evokes the opposite of the feelings that you were just feeling, the opposite of loneliness, the opposite of being misunderstood. And oftentimes, this is where an even deeper emotional experience will happen. Sometimes clients won't feel much when they're expressing, but when we embrace, the heart opens. When love comes in, tears just flow. Mhm. So feeling this sense of belonging, feeling this sense of community, of love, of friendship, what you're evoking within you. And maybe you see that white light from earlier in your heart space, in your mind surrounding you. Maybe you imagine being surrounded by your angels, your guides, your light beings, by the Holy Spirit. Any goddesses, gods, deities that you work with, inviting them in, seeing them holding out their hands in support of you. And from this place, I invite you to write directly to you in the first memory that we're working with. Writing from this essence of belonging and understanding and support directly to younger you. And how this might sound is, I know you feel scared. I know you feel alone. I know you feel different. I'm so sorry that you've been feeling like this for so long. But I'm here and I love you. I'm sorry I didn't know how to be with you before. I'm here now and I'm not going anywhere. And if you would like support with this, if you'd like to be a coaching demo, you can raise your hand. And we're not advice giving, but meeting the emotion. I know you feel blank. I'm so sorry you felt blank for so long. I'm here to tell you that you are wanted, that you're not easily replaceable. I never get tired of you. I love hearing what you have to say. You don't have to shrink down for me. I love your weirdness. And write in the chat if you'd like support. This is where the healing happens. I want to make sure this lands for you. We're meeting the fear with love. And for those who are ready for the next step, now we move into embodiment, which is answering the question, how do I show up to events from this place? With this part of me embraced, what changes when I go on a friend date? What changes when I'm at an event and I see someone cool and I want to talk to them because I think they're dope and I want to be friends with them, but I feel awkward? What changes when this part has your love? We're going to spend a good few minutes here. I want you to write, envision, how do you show up? Kyrie, I do not know. Feel into it and receive the knowing. This is the visioning. This is how we create the new template of life experience. And this doesn't have to come solely from the mind, but drop into the feeling. The mind is a tool, but it should not be leading the visioning. We vision from our hearts and our spirit. And then we bring that into form with our words, with our mind, with our thoughts. But first we feel it in the body. So Brianna, go back to the embracing then and spend a couple more minutes there. That part who feels like my energy is negative, like people don't like me, or I need to be a different version of myself. Give her love, and then we ask the question, how do we show up from here with her embraced? That's just feedback that there's more love that's needed. And if you would like to spend time in your own visioning process, go ahead and click mute. So you, or not mute on Zoom, but mute on your computer. I'm going to open it up for coaching, Q&A, anything that you got stuck with, anyone who would like support or who would like to share. Yasmin says, I feel like showing up with a big smile and relief that I will be welcomed. Beautiful. Yeah, Emily, you can unmute.
I'm the one that replied in the comments earlier about neurodivergency, and without getting off topic, I found the opposite of most of these things, and it's because of that, where I know I wasn't a typical child growing up, where I didn't feel insecure, I didn't care what other people thought. That's actually now, I can see as an adult, that's a good thing, but it didn't come from some well of confidence, I don't think for my, if I'm making sense. So on some level, I think what happens when people love themselves, but I think we all attract patterns, and I know for myself, and I think other people can testament to this being in their life, they attract people that don't love themselves. And um that is a pattern that probably isn't healthy, because it doesn't lead to a fruitful friendship or any kind of relationship in that way.
Yeah, it is more difficult to be in relationship with people who are not well adjusted, who don't love themselves, who don't have healthy relationship with themselves. That's definitely more challenging, and I can't say that I recommend it. But could you rephrase your question? What would you specifically like me to address within
I
that?
know it's confusing. I know that's why I'm here. I'm here because uh if you attract like everything, I loved everything you said in the very beginning in the first meditation, because it's exactly that, what you described, and having that attraction, attracting the kind of relationships, friendships that are going to have that balance.
Mhm.
And so if you love yourself, I didn't relate to a lot of the stuff because again, I think my neurodivergency kind of interferes there, and I don't feel any of the things that I know a lot of people struggle with. I remember you said something about 99%, and I was like, uh-oh, I like fit in the 1%, and that's not necessarily a good thing. So I guess I was
Oh, that's a good
curious
thing.
about that.
You mean am I hearing you correctly that you're saying that you feel like you fit into the 1% that like just doesn't really have issues with like feeling like they don't belong or feeling like they're not good enough?
Yeah. And I feel even uncomfortable saying that. That's why I didn't put in the chat either, and I decided to voice it instead of easily typing it, because text doesn't convey tone, and it could sound like, oh, look at me, I just love myself and I have no issues, but I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like I guess I've always had that struggle of being very authentic and not understanding. And that's what I even wrote as my first memory as becoming a mom. Like I just remember sitting around at a table, and everyone was just so, I can't describe it, but fearful and not acting like themselves. And like one of my favorite bits that Chris Rock does is he talks about when you meet someone, you're not meeting them, you're meeting their representative. And that's how I felt in that moment, like, oh my gosh, these aren't themselves, this is their representative. And that's what I think. I know many of us, whether you love yourself or not, whether you feel unworthy or not, we're looking for people that want to be authentic, because that's where you're going to get a real connection. And I think that's where I struggle, is trying to understand even how to attract people that are truly authentic.
Yeah. Are you in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I don't know about other places, but I know there's a lot of community with people who are like authentic and just like weird and
Yeah.
like accepting, and um I really want to encourage you and anyone here that like has any resonance with this, that don't make a problem that's out of something that's not a problem.
Right.
It's not a problem that that you you don't have trauma
I
around being
do, but I don't,
about
I absolutely have trauma, but yeah, when it comes to this,
yeah, not when it comes to this.
yeah.
Yeah. And personally, I don't like being in groups and tables of people that are in the frequency of fear, and the frequency of self-loathing or being down on themselves and insecurity. That's not what I'm looking for in a friendship. Some people do bond through the negativity. Some people do bond through like through the difficulty and or like the drama of life. That's not what I'm going to be teaching in
Right.
this in besties, because I don't think those are really high quality friendships. It's kind of like reality TV show friendships. It's like
Mhm.
your relationship with reality TV. It's like, oh my God, like I hate them but I love them, but and like I'm addicted to the drama. And um yeah.
I think
But
that's why so many of us, when you said something earlier about this spiritual journey doesn't have to be a lonely one, or it does have to be a lonely one, like one of those negative beliefs. I related to that because I willfully choose to be alone because I like hanging out with myself, and I got two
same.
kids, so I don't have a problem being alone and choosing to be alone. So that's
Yeah.
also why this program really spoke to me.
Yeah, so
Thank you
for
for
you
doing it.
it's gonna be like mostly just strategy then for you. It's not gonna be a lot of inner work, which is the opposite for some people. Yeah. Yeah, Sarah, in just a moment. Kyrie.
Hey everyone. Hi Catherine. And hi Sarah. Hey. So I am so grateful you're having this series. It came right on time, where I feel like I'm really in a space where I can attract the friendships I've always wanted. So I think what I have a question about is I feel like last time we were on a group call, Sarah was on the call, and I was at an event where I was out of town for work, and it's literally the exact same situation today. um, but the way I responded might be slightly different, so I just want to hear your response about this. So, I'm at a conference in DC for work, and somewhat know a lot of the people because I've seen them at different events and stuff, but we're not friends. And I don't see them outside of this conference or anything, but a lot of them know each other because the people are from different like chapters of this organization, like in each city, and so they all know each other and stuff like that, whereas I work for the main organization, so I'm not really in the chapters like everyone. um and the team that I work on, the marketing team that I work on, nobody on that team really likes me. From what I can tell, I'm very much a disruptor. I do a really good job with the work that I do, which is why they keep me around. Um I'm think outside of the box. I have fresh ideas, but that's also why they don't like me. Um so I don't really have a space. So when I come into, like, we had a reception just now, I just left from it. That's why I was a little bit late to the call. Um, there's a lot of young people and stuff like that. And they're all going to an event right now, but I chose to be on here. And so when I walk into the reception, I'm seeing people and I'm talking to them and I'm trying to be super outgoing and stuff. I think the thing that is running through my mind is like, these are not my people, or these people just don't really like care for me. Like I've got me and like I really dig me, you know, which is a big deal. Like I really do love me. I'm starting to really like just and I really do like love me. So I was like, I'm all I've got. And so I don't know how to do the embodiment part because while I feel a little bit sad and afraid, and if you saw me tonight, you wouldn't think that, but I just feel like really rejected, you know, and like, okay, well, we can kind of just dismiss Kyrie or reject her because she's going to be okay. We can just not speak to her or ignore her because she's going to be fine. Um and so I don't know how to show up to events. I don't know how to show up to events from a place where I can embody what you were saying. Because all I'm thinking of is like just like keep showing up. So I'm like forcing myself to be in these spaces and it feels like my chest is really tight and I'm just like showing up in these spaces and I'm like, okay, I'm being my authentic self, which can be a little bit awkward and a little bit much. Like for instance, I was talking to this woman. She's told me she was 63. I didn't even know she was 63. But this woman is the head of a big organization. And she thinks that I'm aggressive and I have to get social media and videos and photos of stuff. So I have to be out in the forefront. So she kind of thinks I'm aggressive. So we were having a conversation tonight and she goes, I feel like I have to stay back. I have to, you know, not shrink back, but I kind of have to stay back because I'm new to the organization. And I don't want to be too like aggressive. And something told me to tell her like, sometimes no matter how much you try to stay in the background, if there's a certain light that you have, no matter how much you try to stay in the background, you still are going to shine and people still are going to see you no matter what. And that's exactly what happens to me. I can try to stay in the background, but people still are going to be really bothered by my light or they're going to be attracted to it. And I said that to her. And this is a predominantly Black organization. Oh, I don't even think of myself as that dark skin, but okay. But yeah, this is a Black organization. But I'm glad you said that. Thank you. Um but
Yeah,
so
can I respond? Can I respond to this?
to this part
To
to
the
this.
whole thing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I was kind of going on. But yeah, thank you.
I'm like, girl, let me
Sorry.
get in there.
I'm
I
sorry. I was
gotta
just like, I didn't know what part y'all needed to know. Oh, one more thing. There's this new guy who just started with us. And when I tell you I've never seen somebody this magnetic in my entire life. Like, I love him. I love being around him. But and I'm not a jealous person. He's probably literally the only person in the world that I'm jealous of. Or sometimes I'm really jealous of people who have really good relationships with their mom. But besides that, I mean, I've never seen someone so magnetic. So that's another thing I wanted to throw in there. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Thank you. Love you, Kyrie.
Thanks.
Kyrie's been in my world for a long time, so I can talk to her like that. Like, girl, let me get in here.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay. Number one, stop trying to be friends with people that you don't actually want to be friends with. Like, period. You know how often I go somewhere and I'm not really into anyone there. I'm like, it's not really. Nah, it's kind of nice. They're kind of nice, or this is kind of okay. I'm not even thinking what they might be thinking about me because I'm too focused on the knowing. Oh, Kendra in here, baby, hi. I'm too focused on the knowing that these aren't my people. So it truly doesn't matter. It's just like followers on Instagram. Like either you're gonna follow me and you're gonna dig my vibe and you're gonna like what I'm saying and we're gonna connect, or you're gonna unfollow me. I don't it makes me think of this the story of if someone was like walking your way on the street and they started cussing you out and saying you're ugly and saying like you're stupid and like whatever, no one likes you, you'd be like, oh my God, what the heck, this person just like attacked me, I feel so attacked, like this really hurt my feelings. And then if someone comes up right after them and is like, I'm so sorry, my son has special needs and I lost him, like I'm so sorry, he does this, like it doesn't mean anything, you would immediately be like, oh well, not me, that's just something that he does. Or if someone said some shit to you in a different language, it wouldn't hurt you, it wouldn't affect you, because you would have no meaning to put onto it, you would have no story about their story. It is so not our job or responsibility or duty or ministry to be keeping track of other people's stories about us. And Whitney, I love Byron Katie. Did you know that? Have we talked about that before? Byron Katie is really powerful. But I think like Kyrie, you're dope. Like you have so much to offer and you're funny and you're fun and you're a loving person, and like there's nothing wrong with you. If these people don't like you, it's like, well, do you even like them? Are these even people that you want to be friends with or not? Because if not, then like, cool, I'm gonna go get dinner on my own because I don't really even want to hang out with y'all. Y'all are going to this event, going to this bar. That doesn't sound like a fun time to me. I'd rather be back in my hotel room and like be in the shower. Y'all know how I love my showers. Probably take a shower and like snuggle up in bed, and then I'm happy as a clam. So the point of this program is not so that you make friends everywhere you go, because aligned friends won't necessarily be everywhere that you go. Relationships are like romantic relationships to me. Like if I have a real connection with you, it's kind of rare, it's kind of unique, and I'm zeroing in on that. I don't need 100 friends. I need like a couple dope ass friends.
I have a question. So, what if someone had mentioned this before? Oh, Emily. Okay, what if you are noticing a pattern? You know, this definitely is a pattern for me where I work. People I work with don't like me outside of work. People are like, whoa, but at work, so I'm like, okay, something is happening. And I think a part of it is that at work, maybe you can't be like your full self. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. And then is there something to feeling like I'm literally going into the in with a thought process of these are not my people. You know what I mean? Like how is that affecting things, and what can I do there, you know?
So, um, yeah, Mercel says, is it potentially assuming from a limiting belief? There's like, yeah, there probably are limiting beliefs here. And I'm also curious, like Cassandra says, like how you're stepping into your power in work versus socially speaking. If this is a pattern where it's like in every job that I have, I just don't make connections. Everyone's friends with the other people, but no one's friends with me. Then we can get curious and have a non-judgmental, non-shameful, non-critical, honest assessment about what is my energy like when I'm going into these situations? And if the answer comes back of like, I feel pretty open, I am being assertive, I honestly don't feel like I'm, accidentally putting someone down or overstepping in some way, it's like it might those those people just might not be your
Yeah.
people.
I mean, I wonder if it's just like this feeling of, a lot of times I've heard work can feel like a familial situation, and so maybe in that environment I'm just wanting to be accepted, and so in wanting to be accepted, people are like, oh, we hate that energy in that girl, you know. I don't know.
Um, I wonder if there's even a way for you to like um to ask someone that maybe you do feel more camaraderie with. Like I straight up, when I first moved here to LA, I was working at a hospital at Glendale Memorial. I was a travel nurse and like no one liked me. And I had never been somewhere where no one liked me before. And they would all speak in their own languages around me. They wouldn't speak English around me.
Mhm.
And like, no, like it was so weird. I never experienced that before. And I started dating one of the guys on the floor, and he was Asian, and I think they, whatever language that they were all speaking. And he was like, no, it's not in your head. They don't like you. I was like, okay, well, at least I know.
Yeah.
And like that's also not my ministry to figure out why they don't like me. I've been here for 2 weeks.
Mm.
And like these people have made up their minds about me. I don't need to know why they don't like they don't like me. I don't know. Okay, whatever. They're haters. Yeah,
Yeah.
very much like high school. So I did my job. I I managed my own energy. I stayed in my professionalism. And I was like, all right, so I'm not gonna make some besties here at this job. Cool. And then they ended up firing me. Uh, what's a
Not funny, but it's, I mean, that's happened to me, so I feel it too. Okay, well, thank you guys. Thank you, Catherine, for the feedback. I think I just have to come to terms with like, yeah. I, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and I almost wonder, right when you said that, it's like, is there a part of you that feels like everyone needs to like you? That feels like everyone, like for you to somehow gain something, worthiness, importance, um,
I think
safety. It's like
I
I'm
think
safe here.
I think I feel like a failure because I can see what this level of magnetism looks like in this guy. And I can see the like, or feel like the complete opposite. And I'm just like in awe of him. I know this is possible. I see it. I like him.
Mhm.
Um,
You know
how
what? He's in his authenticity. He's in his authenticity, and authenticity is magnetizing. And there's
he is
something.
literally like in a corner silent and everybody is coming to, I'm like, what? How does this happen? I've seen him in multiple environments. It is wild. It's wild to see it. I'm just like,
It
oh my,
is. I've known people like that. My best friend who actually passed and he got in a car accident in high school, he was like that. Malik. Everyone fucking loved him. Even the teachers who didn't like him loved him. Even people who didn't like him loved him. And he had the most friends. I know what you're saying, and I think that there are people who somehow have a little fairy dust of magnetism. I'm not sure, but I also know that those people are being authentic. They're in their authenticity, and they're being themselves. Yeah. So I hope that supported.
yeah.
Um, Anna.
Yeah. Well, yeah, hi. Nice to meet everyone. Yeah, okay. So the question was like, how do I embody love when I go into new situations? I mean, this exercise has been very helpful. Like I guess a couple things that I realized. One was like you asked the question of or yeah, like reflecting on like times in our lives when we felt like we have belonged. And like I don't know, me I'm a fairly like analytical, logical person. And for me that was super helpful to just be like, oh, well, yeah, I've had times in my life where I did truly feel like I belonged, like showing up authentically, like, and I felt like I belonged there. Like, so this is possible. Like I have the data that says I can do this. I've done this, you know. So that was just a tactical thing that was super helpful, was like just realizing that, like, you know, maybe I'm rusty, but like I I can do this. And then yeah, just like how to embody love when going into new situations. I think for me, like, and I need to do more processing on this probably. I think I have like kind of a like a best friend wound, if that's a thing. Like even when like someone says like, oh, this is my best friend, like someone saying that is like very triggering to me for some reason. And I think it's because I was always like the second best friend. Like I was like always a friend, but never the best friend. um and like, you know, just yeah, like middle school, high school, like people would pair off, you know, with each other, and then I'm like the awkward third one, or you know. um
Who
in any
else?
way, like,
Who
yeah.
else has felt like that? Who else has felt like the awkward one that like people didn't? Yeah, yeah, same.
Yeah. And so like I think for I don't know, that's something I've like kind of, I guess, I've struggled with for many years, probably more than I even really realize, is like feeling like I'm wrong because like I don't have a best friend, or feeling like, you know, am I a freak who thinks it's like, is, because I think you can have more than one best friend, and but like,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of times like people are like, no, I have like my ride and die, and I'm like, is it wrong that I think like I can have more than one person who is
No,
that?
not at all. So this is what I would say to that. It makes me think of these walks that I go on. I call them my favorite walks. And on the walk, I am naming everything that I like is my favorite. Oh my God, that's my
Oh,
favorite
that's
leaf.
cute.
Oh my God, that's my favorite tree. Oh my God, this is my favorite flower. Oh, that's my favorite. Everything that I like is my favorite. You best in my eyes, in my world, best is not comparing necessarily to someone else. When I say my best friend, it's just a level of relationship that I have reached with that person that's like best. Like my best friend, Amber, like dude's my best friend. And um I've had other best friends and I'm open to having other best friends, and that won't make her not my best friend.
Yeah. Yeah, and something that came up too when I was, oh, I guess first, thank you for that. But yeah, something else that came up when I was kind of writing on this was, well, let's see, what did I write? I wrote like, you know, there's more than enough room at the table is what I wrote, and then that kind of like started this additional thought for me of like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess like, you know, if I show up to a table and the kind of the vibe that I get is like, oh, there's no room here, like, well, then that's just not the table for me, right? Like the tables I belong at are the ones where the people are going to say, I'm going to pull up a chair for you. And they're going to make the space. And so yeah, that was helpful, I think, to realize. And then just like a silly thing that was helpful with this like best friend wound was like like literally the TV show Friends. Like, they are not paired off into like best friends, right? Like it is 6 of them and they are all friends. And I know that's like Hollywood and totally made up, but still, I'm like, okay, well, it's not out of the realm of possibility to have, you know, a friend group versus just a single best friend. So anyway, yeah, very, very helpful though, all around. Definitely appreciate this.
Good. Um, Something also, some homework for you and anyone who wants to adopt this as homework as well. You are more than welcome. I encourage it. Is for just a couple minutes. It can be 60 seconds even. Every day until our next call, give that part of you belonging. Sometimes I do this even before I wake up in the morning. Like my eyes are still closed and I'm saying, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you to myself. You are the medicine. You are the medicine. Your love is the medicine. So, and really what this part is looking, it can really seem like the things we're looking, the safety, the friendships and belonging, the worthiness, etc., that we're waiting for someone else to give that to us. And like, yes, when I find that best friend and when I find that romantic partner and I get that job, like that will be it. And I'll feel so good. And it's like, yeah, that probably will feel good. And also you can feel good right now because what that part of you is actually looking for is your own love, your own sense of worthiness and belonging and safety. I call it a nourishment barrier phrase from one of my coaches. It's like think of a model, think of like just like a supermodel, just, physically gorgeous person who feels super insecure. It makes no sense. She's getting compliments and love from everyone in her life all of the time, but she doesn't feel that love because she's not giving it to herself. So homework, give yourself the sense of belonging, that one who felt like she was always left out. She was always the third wheel. She's like, yeah, she's a friend, but never the best friend. She's the one who needs your love. And I agree, Mercil, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Another thing is sometimes you got to make the first move. It won't be just one way. I agree, which makes me think maybe Whitney will like this quote. If you've read 1,000 Names for Joy, have you read 1,000 Names for Joy? Oh my God, you're like Byron Cade and you haven't read 1,000 Names for Joy. Girl, I've read the book like 8 times. Something that she loves that I've adopted in my own life is, or something that I love that she says that I've adopted in my own life is she says, every time I walk into a room, I already know that everyone there loves me, even if they don't know it yet. I just assume that people love me. Why wouldn't they? And if they don't, it's not like they're gonna come up to me and say it. I go to events. I am in my essence. I'm in my energy. Now I am just assuming that I'm in a room full of friends. Yeah. Kyrie, I'm gonna call on you in a second. Could I take a picture of us, guys? Cassandra goes. Okay. Let's see. I think this is how we do it. Smile. Say besties. Yay. Thank you so much for indulging me. Okay. Kyrie, did you have something else you wanted to share?
I just wanted to say something really quickly. So I was just kind of vomiting up everything because it literally had just happened. So in that time, what you were saying, Brianna, was super helpful. And I just wanted to apologize to you because I feel like the way that I responded to you is not the way that I want to respond to people, especially because the issue you brought up is like near and dear to my heart. And I am super grateful that you even brought that up because I do think that's a huge aspect. In fact, the organization is a racial justice organization. So, and I do tend to work in predominantly Black spaces because it is very emotionally unsafe as a Black woman when you aren't. So, I'm grateful you brought that up and sorry that I came across in any way that wasn't like safe and kind. And I didn't mean for it to come across that way. Also, I don't think I knew that you were African American at first either. So that was other. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. So thank you for saying that. And I wanted to make sure that I shared that back to you and showed you some love. So yeah.
Who already like loves Kyrie? Who's already like, Kyrie, can we like be friends?
Oh, that's definitely gonna make me cry. Thank you.
Yeah. She's so cute, Marcel says. Yeah. Brianna, would you like to respond? You don't have to.
I mean, I definitely didn't feel like there was a need for an apology, but I do appreciate it nonetheless. And it's always good to just like, if you feel weird about something, it's good to just like close the loop, as they say. So
Yeah.
all good. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Good. Yeah, a lot of times that loop closing is for us more than it is for other people. I definitely didn't take that as like, oh, she kind of like said something. Um, but that was a really beautiful example of how to clear the energy, which that's an aspect of what we're gonna talk about on Sunday. If you can make it on Sunday, that is a good one. Of course, these are recorded. So you'll get the replays, but I've been channeling so many different like facets of this diamond, so many different things that come into like the strategy and the mindset and the energetics. And one of them is energy clearing. You can create a friend, but to sustain it, you have to know how to clear energy between two people and do it in a way that's not like this big dramatic, like crazy thing. It can be as simple as like, hi love, I feel like there's some energy to clear between us. Like, are you free for a call? Without like demonizing the other person, without making the other person wrong or going into like a whole bunch of story. You can just be like, hey, I feel like there's something a little off. I'm sorry I said that like that. I don't know if you took it any kind of way, but I realized that it wasn't coming from a place of love and just wanna name that. And like, thank you so much for being in my life. Like, it can literally be as simple as that. And it can really extend the like longevity of relationships. Whitney definitely have little resentments I need to clear towards one person in particular. Yeah. Well, we will be talking about that. It's good to notice. Any other comments? Anyone who would like to be coached, have a question of any kind? Um, this process, was this process helpful?
There was one thing I wanted to say. It was kind of a while ago, but just in response to Emily, I think you shared in the beginning about how you felt like maybe you didn't have these wounds, and then I like, it was so interesting to hear you talk because I could almost hear you like judging yourself for not having those wounds. And yeah, I just wanted to like to point that out and be like, yeah, well, maybe the part of you that needs the love is the part that's judging yourself for not having those wounds. And there's something that I learned from Kat, actually, because I've been working with her for a while, um that really resonated with me. That's like the ego cannot cannot wrap its head around there's nothing wrong with you. Like like the ego, we maybe Kat can expand on this, but like the ego is always looking for ways to be like, you're not good enough, you're not this, it's because there's something wrong with you. But like, girl, if you feel like you can be authentic, celebrate that. That's amazing. And like, don't feel bad about that. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You read it totally accurate. And I do, um, even in my friendships, I tend to have some level of guilt because I don't like to rub it in their face that I find beauty and wonder in everything. I am like a 5-year-old. I'm a good candidate for being a mother. So I'm glad that I have kids and I actually homeschool um because of the pandemic, but it made more sense. And so I'm grateful to be who I am, but I'm cognizant that there are so many people that um have that blockages that cannot see and feel the beauty of life. And I feel for that. I mean, that's why I became a hypnotherapist, because I feel for that. But it's always about fear. And that's what I loved about what you said earlier, uh, Catherine, about fear being love being the kind of conqueror in that way of anyway, yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
for saying that.
Well, I'm already pretty sure that me and Emily are besties because that's what I want to do too. I just want to walk around in the forest and see all the pretty things and see and like be in love with life. There are people who like want that exact same life experience that you are already embodying. And yeah, you're not going to fit in with other lower, I don't say this with judgment, it's just kind of the truth of it, with lower frequency connections, connecting on everything that's wrong and what's wrong with you and your self-loathing and the drama and what your partner said and this like whatever. I That's so unimpalatable to me, to especially when people are leading. I just had an experience this weekend. I was with a new group of besties, a new group of girls that kind of invited me into their world. And I loved them and I still love them. And um I don't like count people out just because they do this sometimes. Like there's a lot more that fits into the picture, of course. But it's like the first thing that they were leading with was what their partner said to them, the fight that they had on the way here, or the drama that happened last weekend, or the things that they're upset about. And I was like, is there anything like I'd love to know? Is there like anything fun in your life right now? Is there like anything special that you're excited about? Anything that you're like proud of yourself for? And one of the girls even used that as saying, I'm really proud of myself for how I stood up for myself when me and my partner were in a fight before we came here. And then spent about 10 seconds saying that she was proud of herself for that. And then about 5 minutes talking about the fight that they had and every detail about that. And I'm like, girl, you just drove the train off the tracks with it. So, but also I don't, like I said, I don't see these things in a silo. It's like there's so much more that makes her a beautiful person, and I would like to continue pursuing a friendship with her and the rest of the ladies in there. It's just something to be mindful of. And now that you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. One of my coaches says there's a war on happy people. Sometimes it's important part of friendship to have a space to vent. Yeah, it is. It is. And Sarah said what I was saying. Yes. And oh look, someone named April is coming in at the last just 90 minutes later. It's not what we lead with and it's not what we focus on. That's the thing. It's like I might want to share something that, yeah, like maybe something happened. It's not gonna be within the first 5 minutes of being in someone's presence that I'm gonna tell them about this like painful hard thing that's okay. It's not gonna be within the first 5 minutes, and I'm not gonna spend 30-45 minutes talking about it. You know what I mean? Yeah, and like there's nuances and there's like finesse that comes with this. And above all, it's tuning into two things. One, why am I sharing? Or why am I talking? Why am I sharing? Why am I talking? You can think of the acronym WAIT or WAYS, I guess. Am I sharing this because this just feels like the most like exciting thing in my life right now that I want to talk about, like this drama that's going on? Am I sharing because I want to loop my friend into something that is heavy on my heart, and I would like her to see me and ask if she can hold me in an emotional experience, because that can be extremely bonding. It's just like, why am I sharing? Why am I talking? And then tuning into your body as you're gaining more of like the nuance, awareness of your energy. You'll be able to tell pretty, even before you say it, whether or not the thing you're about to share is going to make you feel like dense and heavy, or if it's going to make you feel more uplifted and inspired. So those, we're going to talk about that more on Sunday, but little, yeah, intention is everything. Brianna?
Yeah, this actually goes right into my question, and I'll preface it by saying that I think that there's not really a black or white answer to this. So I've noticed, in addition to not just in this space but just online in general right now, it's very much positive vibes only, good people, like I want, like, don't bring that negativity over there. Like, I don't want to hang out with those people. Let's take a siesta on that, and let's go over to you know, I want to talk about good positive stuff or whatever. And I definitely understand that, because I do believe that energy is like transferred, and sometimes it's just straight up like, this is too much, or I just want to have fun, or I don't have the space for that right now, or this is bumming me out. And that's a real thing, to protect your energy from the negativity. On the other hand, I've been that negative person. Um, and that's not to say that I'm a fully negative person. I also understand that I need to reframe, why is it exactly that my narrative is that I'm a negative person, to the point where when people say things like we're going to positive, I just want this positive or whatever, I get it, but I feel like that's part of my ideology about why I feel like I cannot, like, I'm not going to be able to be friends with people, because I'm not feeling super positive right now. You know, I deal with pretty severe treatment resistant depression. It's not the whole entirety of my person, and I'm able to be a very funny person, a very personable person, but that is a big factor in my life. And I felt that in myself, I feel that thing of like, well, nobody wants to deal with this or whatever. We want to go get the brunch. And I'm not simplifying it. And I'm not saying, Catherine, especially for you, that this is what you're saying or whatever, but it is a scenario for some people where it's like, let's go to brunch. I just want to have fun. Tell me about the men you're making out with. Don't tell me about, that boyfriend you broke up with 4 times already. Like, I'm not trying to hear that. That's very real. But like, how can I get out of feeling like, whenever that comes up, that, oh, like, well, we're talking about me now. And sometimes I feel like, again, I don't know, this is kind of a tricky subject, but I just feel like sometimes I have felt like we throw these people away. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah, I'm chomping at the bit. I've never experienced like negativity or like what you are kind of talking about. I've never experienced that from you. And when you've come over to my circles, you're always such a value add, and I think that your energy is always such a contribution. And it doesn't have to be like this happy-go-lucky, like, oh my God, which honestly sometimes I am like that, but sometimes I'm also like, fuck everything. So I want to name that I've never experienced you to be like anything other than a valuable contribution. And again, there's a lot of nuances here. Kyrie is right when she's saying building intimacy. So this is where the nuance comes in. It's like, am I building emotional connection with you, or am I complaining and like talking about just like the shit that I don't like in my life because there's some pull to like the drama or the chaos of that topic. But often when and this is why I make a lot of like deep connections, and why also I create a lot of my clients from just meeting people in real life at a dance class, at a wedding, at a funeral, at a wherever, because I share deeply. I'll share, I'll say, yeah, you know, I actually had a really hard time with that. Yeah, I'd say a couple years ago, this was the experience that I went through, and I really felt like unloved or unlovable, and I did this work, and I'm um you know, I might be still working on it in this area of my life or this area of my life, but this was my experience. Like, sometimes I'll talk to people who I just met about how I found my mom dead when I was 7 years old. Now, I don't just spring it on people. Like, I read the conversation, I read the scenario, but what I'm talking about here is not for lack of emotional depth and authenticity and like true connection. That's actually what I want for you. I want you to be sharing your real and true experience. It's You have to feel from, where is this coming within me? Is this coming to build connection or not? And is this building connection, or am I just, yeah, talking about the drama or the gossip, and like you said, the friend or like the guy, like no one wants to hear about someone's like boyfriend that they've broken up with 4 times, and then they're back together, and then he said this, and she said that, but then he didn't text back, and now it's like, I couldn't care less about this. How are you? How are you doing? How is your spirit doing? What's present in your life right now? What's present on your heart? Interesting conversation to have. I'll see if I can like distill and channel some more of this nuance. But does that support, Brianna?
Yeah, I think so.
And then
Because I
if it's
feel
okay
like,
with the group, oh, sorry. Hi, it's Anita. If it's
Huh?
okay with the group, I'd love to say something, Brianna, like just to that, if that's cool with everybody. Hi, everybody. Sorry, my voice is a little nasally, so sorry if it's a little annoying sounding. My bad. But hey, Brianna, I feel that a lot. I know what you're saying, like that feeling of like you're not sure, right? At that point when friends have dismissed those feelings, that you're having like heavy feelings so often, or or for whatever reason it feels like they're not receiving it well. I feel like I think all of us have definitely been there, and it's really important to acknowledge that like it's cool to have those feelings. We're not always on the same timeline or in the same space, right? And all that stuff. And I just want to say, like, it's never too much to have those feelings because they're your feelings, right? But like maybe for those people, for their own reasons, maybe it's like a lot for them. And it's so hard when we're all kind of like spinning on our own axis, right? And like trying to figure out like where we all are. But like I've found like in my own journey that like sometimes just saying, you know, hey, I have to talk 2 minutes of like some real shit for a minute. Like, are you guys okay with that? Sometimes like just checking in. And it's kind of like the same idea of like saying, hey, like on the receiving end, like if you were to say that to me and I was like, okay, do you want advice or do you want me to just listen? Because that's also something to throw in there, right? Because sometimes we just want you to hear us out because we already know what we're going to do, or we don't want advice, but we just want to kind of say it and get it off our chest before we can like, okay, I'm good now. So, you know, just checking in sometimes with friends about like if they have a few minutes and putting a time limit on it can help them decide whether or not they're in the right space, and then making sure that they're equipped with what you need, which is either listening or advice, right? Those are like two things I would say help a lot.
Yeah,
Just throwing
I think that's excellent, Anita. Thank you for sharing that. And now that you're saying that, I realize that I'm going to put this in the Sunday call because this is something that I do with my friends. I'll say, okay, I don't want to talk about this for a long time, but I do want to talk about it because I can't stop fucking thinking about it. Can I talk to you about some stuff that's really annoying in my life right now? They'll be like, yeah, dude, of course. Go ahead. Go for it. Like, okay, well, this is what happened and this is really annoying. And it's only for a couple minutes, but putting the bookends, putting the frame on that is really, really powerful, really helpful. So good point.
Thank you. Just kind of to close the loop there. Yeah, I feel like I need to work on kind of asking people what their capacity is before I say, because I feel like, well, you should be transparent and be your authentic self. So I'll kind of like throw out like a little thing and then I'll like test it. And it's like, if I didn't like the way that you responded to that, then I'll just chuck the entire person away because I've just been through too much. I'm sorry. But at the same time though, I do feel like that's my biggest kind of wound is just like, I've been dealing with my mental health, which has been challenging. But I've never seen somebody like sit with me. I've never had a friend like be able to like hold the space for me. So I want to believe that that exists, but it's typically hard. I often find that I can find that temporarily through, say, I'm in a group therapy setting or I'm in an intensive outpatient program or one of those different things. Those people can hold the space for me, but then I can't put that into a friendship. It's the same old, well, finish my 3 months here, boo, or whatever. So that's definitely something that I need to work on, is just kind of working with the checking before I just throw out a bunch of stuff, because I'm used to it. It's not super heavy for me, but not everybody is used to talking about, borderline personality disorder and suicide and stuff like that. And I have to understand that not everybody shares my perspective.
Mhm. Yeah, what I would say to that, thank you for sharing that also, Brianna. I love you. It's about, I think something that it might be something to think about here is being in different groups, like maybe a support like group that this is what they talk about. This is what we're going into. We all have a shared experience of, BPD or chronic depression or other things that we're going through, because there is like, I'm hearing that you want to connect like with people who know what you're going through, and that's really natural and really normal. And you're exactly right that not everyone you come across and every potential friend that you meet is going to know that, is going to know what that experience is. But that doesn't mean that they couldn't still be a great friend in your life, but they might not be the friend or the group or the space that you go to when there's when you're like having a flare up, or like, when stuff is coming up for you. We're also going to talk about, I might make this into an action guide and send this out. I'll think about it. We're going to talk about different kinds of friendships. There's different kinds of friendships. Some friendships are going to be like fun and giggly and like we play together. Some are going to be like more intellectual. Some are I have a whole list of like different friend archetypes that I channeled a few weeks ago when I was getting the inspiration for this program. Yeah, Kendra, that's what you're gonna say. So like I have spiritual friends and I have non-spiritual friends. Like I'm a very spiritual person. My best friend Amber, she's not spiritual. She's spiritual in her own way. Like she does art and she's very creative. but I don't need her to have read the books that I've read. I don't need to talk about my angels and my pendulum healings and my client sessions with her, because I have so many business friends and other spiritual friends that I do have those conversations with. So I think the same kind of concept would apply to you too. Yeah. Marcel, am I saying that right?
It's
Marcel.
actually Marcel, but thank you for trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Marcel, thank you. So I'm so sorry for coming late to the call. My alarm was set for 7:53 p.m., but it turned out to be a.m.,
Oh.
so I got it wrong. Yeah, sorry about that.
All right.
Is it okay if you just mention the framework? Because I missed the first two, if that's okay.
Yeah. So make sure if you want to go through the process, you can
Yeah.
watch. I'll send it out. But the framework is explore, express, embrace, embody. Explore.
Okay. And then okay, thank you for that. And then my only question really is like, because obviously I do sorry, I do work with the therapist, and then I've been going to therapy for the last 9 months now. So a lot of breakthroughs, especially with my session from like 2 days ago about the friendship group.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So for me it was just about safety, number one, because for me it's like potentially getting abused from people, even though if it wouldn't go to that capacity, my mind was ready to run away
Yeah.
if I'm in danger. And I went through like a lot of emotional trauma. I think it happened in grade 1, if I can just talk about it quickly.
Yeah. You're wanting to talk
Yeah.
about what you were
Like
what
yeah, the trauma of the friendship. Yeah. So like I was at recess. I think I was in grade 1. I was gonna go meet up with my friends, but then they kept running away from me. So every time I went near them, they just ran away. And then every time I tried to get close again, they ran away. And then yeah. And then obviously I learned that because there was like a lot of things that happened. Like if I would just go sit down and take a seat, someone saw a garbage, what's it called? Like the workers pull up and take out the garbage and like, okay, that's you. So like obviously I went through like a lot of bullying, but then something I learned is I didn't know the difference between self-worth and belonging. So I would constantly still chase my bullies or still want negative people in my life because I didn't know better. And then so obviously all of that, and like this is my first time. I can still cry about it, but I'm not like under a table floor crying. I'm not, sobbing and going through like a panic or attack or anything. So that's like a huge milestone for me.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of healing with it, and I'm so glad that you're here and that you're in this program and you can catapult into next templates of life experience when it comes to being in community and being in friendships, because those aren't friendships, and so like I've heard so many stories similar to this in my one-on-one sessions with clients, and like I'm so sorry, and
Oh,
I'm also simultaneously not sorry because I know that this is part of your curriculum. I always call it your divine curriculum. And just also side note, yeah, if you have to skedaddle, if you have to get out of here, that's okay. You can head out. I'll stay on for another 10 minutes or so. Yeah, thank you for being willing to share this. And you're not alone in this. Like I said earlier, I don't know if you were here or not, but these things are not unique. The feeling is not unique. The form that it came in might be unique, but everyone is out here feeling like they don't belong, or I should say most people. Everyone's out here feeling like they're not good enough to some degree, like they're unsafe to some degree. And yeah, I think you're in the exact right spot. And I know that you've been like binging so many of my trainings and in the spiritual gym free community, like you've been in it. I every single day I'm seeing like Marsal liked this, Marsal liked this, Marsal liked this. And I'm like, she is in it. She is on her healing journey right now. So I really honor you for that and for showing up for yourself and just you're doing everything right. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Are you talking? Because I can't hear you. Could hear you just a second ago, though. And she's gone. Must have had a connection issue. Sarah, what's up?
Hey, I just a few minutes ago, people were dropping a few like questions for topics they thought would be good to cover next time. So I just wanted to offer a suggestion. Um, One thing I've had trouble navigating as like when you're in the spiritual community, there are a lot of people who are coaches or in some way or another provide like emotional support as a business. And like with Kat, I know this comes up with you, especially because you're a coach, but you also host these circles and stuff. So navigating like how what to do in those situations. How do you navigate like a friendship that could also be a business scenario? Because like just being real, I know with you, sometimes I'm like, is she my friend? Is she my coach? What are the
I
like
think like
line? And like it just as the more that I'm meeting people in this world, the more it comes up that it's like, oh, like they kind of are trying to sell me something, but like they're also my friend. And it can be kind of tricky to navigate.
yeah, I also feel similarly. I'm like, is she my client? Is she my friend? Not just with you, but like with so many of my clients, because I have, like I make real relationships, I make real connections, and like I love Kyrie and like I love you, Sarah. And let's see, do I have any other clients on here? No, I don't think any other clients at this point. But Whitney, like Whitney came over to a Sacred Sunday Circle. Love Whitney too. And it's like, um, this is the concept of dual relationships. It takes a certain kind of person on this end, on the coach's end. Oh, Kyrie, that's sweet. Make me feel something. On the coach's end, I think it takes a certain kind of person to be able to hold dual relationships. But also, I'm not going to like we can have a good time together. Like I would love to go to lunch with you. I would love to to yeah, get coffee, get tea, like go to the park, like do something like that. I'm not going to like be sharing my hardships and my challenges when with a client friend when there is still some kind of professional relationship going on. So that's the difference like on my end is like if there is something I'm going through, like I'm not gonna be like, hey Sarah, can you hold for me and like can you talk? Because I have some stuff I'm going through, but I might, call Amber, or honestly, I usually just hang out with my angels and go in my spiritual gym and do my own inner work around stuff. But I don't think a lot of people are well versed in holding dual relationships. If you want to be like solely friends with someone, then I would probably not I wouldn't like buy their offers. If I want to be seen as a friend by someone, I'm not gonna like become a one-on-one client. I might like attend their workshops and events, but yeah, like I have people that I've also wanted to work with, and I'm like, but I would actually rather like just have you in my circle and have you as maybe like a collaboration, like do a collaboration in the future. And I'd rather be seen as like a peer rather than a potential client. And sometimes I say that to people too, like I'd rather be seen as a peer than a potential client. And I say it with love. So I don't know, kind of just talked a lot, getting a little tired. I'm off caffeine this week. I'm off caffeine and sugar and weed for the week.
Yay. Well, so what you sipping on over there?
Some water, some chamomile. It's got my
No, that's why I got the chamomile. Chamomile's like the opposite.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited for you on this detox. But yeah, thank you for the response. Yeah, I think it's funny because when I first met you, I was like, I thought that I was like, well, I think I want to be friends with her, so like I probably shouldn't try to work with her. But then I did your free thing and I was like, no, I want to work with her. And then I was like, felt like we were friends, but then I was like, but then she doesn't respond, and should I do this? And I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. I
And
don't
like, well, I had a whole big thing this week because my actual like therapist was supposed to go on this retreat I'm going on. So that was like a whole thing. But
yeah.
yeah, I just think it's a topic that like could use more communication, just like in general in life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think nothing's wrong with dual relationships. Like I said, I I honestly fall so deeply in love with my clients. I think that they're like so cool, especially when we're like doing all of the deep work together. I'm like, it just makes me fall in love with people more when they share their openness and their vulnerability, and when I see them growing and healing. Um, so yeah, you're in my world.
I have a question.
It's a little hard to hear you, Yasmin.
I have a question.
Hi.
Hi. You know how you were saying the part to embrace and feel, that part of you that needs love. What if you've become somewhat numb? And the mind gets in the way, and my heart's beating a little bit.
Oh, that's okay.
It's hard for me to say. It's just like, I don't know, maybe it was strong emotion that maybe I just pushed away, that I don't want to
Yeah.
relive or whatnot.
Yeah.
So I know to give it love, but what if you're having a challenge with that?
Yeah. So the good news is that you'll have this replay, and whenever you feel like it might be a good time to do some inner work, then you can follow this process or join anything in the future. I always do the inner work with all of my offerings. And like some people have this experience where they start going into something and then they switch nervous system states. They go into what's called dorsal, which is like dissociation or apathy or withdrawal or numbing out. And it's just a part of your mind that it wasn't really consciously decided. But it perceived this emotion as being unsafe to feel. Particularly if you have accumulated, unfelt, unresolved trauma, like kind of like bigger trauma in your past, it can be kind of like, oh, well, if I'm gonna take one rock out of the dam, like the whole dam is gonna, like, I'm just seeing in my mind. if that is the case, which I don't know because this is my first time interacting with you, then working with a therapist, I would recommend. I don't always recommend working with therapists, but for certain people at certain places in their journeys, just like I don't recommend that everyone works with a coach. It's like there are certain things that will support you in that environment. So if you're having a hard time accessing and like staying with the feeling, I would also get curious about what sorry. what what did you learn about emotions as a child? What was the emotional environment? What did you absorb directly or indirectly from your childhood experience? Like maybe it's not okay to feel emotions. No one can hold for your emotions. Your emotions are a burden. If you're running any of these stories in the mind, it's like you've been running them for so long, you're an adult, that the mind can have a hard time being like, wait, and so now we are feeling emotions, but you've been telling me for like the entire life that we don't feel emotions. So like, what am I supposed to do now?
I mean, I feel emotions, but like when I try to go into that part and give it love, I find resistance. And what you're saying right now, it's really helpful because I didn't receive affection when I was a child.
Mm. Mm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. Something just came in with that. Oh, so if there's resistance blocking anything, this goes for any healing experience that you're having, accept the resistance. So if this ever comes up in a client session, I'm like, okay, now feel this, now do this, da da da. They're like, well, I'm having resistance to that. Then the session shifts and we work with the resistance. So now I'm embracing, I'm accepting this, whether it's a tightness in the chest or whether it's a part. Sometimes I'll act it out. I've had this come up in my own sessions, you know, I coach myself. Sometimes I'll act it out and I'll be like, no, I don't want to feel that. I'll give it a voice, dramatize it, turn the dial up. This helps to create space from it. And in that space is where the healing happens. Yeah, Mersal's got some good advice in the chat. Kyrie says, definitely feel you. Experienced. CEN, I don't know what that is. Hard to give yourself something that you hadn't received. Mm-hmm.
It's childhood emotional neglect.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Also feel free, as some of this is landing over the next few days, you can reach out or you can bring questions to the next call as well on Sunday. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Last call. 2 hours and 15 minutes later. You guys have really stayed for the long haul here. Good job. Emily. Mersal says, I wasn't allowed to cry and didn't have space to cry. You can find a room that you haven't had trauma in to cry. Yeah. What I like to do is I imagine, and I have my clients go through this, is imagine that they are walking into a room and seeing that little one in the corner. We're trying to get besties, Catherine Kennedy says. And then I have the client walk into the room and it's like, okay, what do you do when you see this little girl crying in the corner? What do you do? It's like, oh, I run over to her and I swoop her up and I hug her and I hold her. And as you're doing that, it's healing that part within you. So again, there's nuances to this. This could be and it is, I have a 4-month-long course on all of this, turning into a year-long course later this year, the School for Self-Mastery. So, okay, beautiful work. We'll be sending out this replay tomorrow. And get a good night's sleep. Drink some water, nourish your body. We'll see you on Sunday at noon PST. And oh, also there's a community chat as well. If you want to drop some things in the community chat on Telegram, when I send out the replay, I will send out also with that the link for the community chat. Share your experiences, share anything that is helpful for you, and then we'll also talk about the challenge aspect then, because the challenge will be starting after Sarah will miss you. The challenge will be starting on Sunday, and this is a challenge to see who can go on the most friend dates, who can go to the most aligned events. So if you want to start looking in your area for events around you, things that you might like to go to, you might like to attend, people you might like to link up with, winner gets a free one-to-one session with me. Life-changing work we'll do. All right, babes. I gotta stop talking. See ya.
Thanks for doing this. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.